Great. Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go through a little bit of housekeeping to start, like Q&A stuff. And then we're going to get into the fun stuff. So let's go ahead and go from here and talk about the Q&A. So at the end of this presentation, we will have a question and answer segment. Please use the Q&A feature of Zoom to type your questions. This is located on the ribbon below the speaker. Your questions will be answered in the Q&A panel, and all attendees will receive a link to the recording of this webinar as well if you forget anything or are want some more context for one of your questions later on. So the Q&A. And before we get talking about Gamut Policy Plus, what is Gamut Policy Plus? Gamut Policy Plus is a module in your Gamut website that allows your district or COE to store, manage, and update your board policy manual. Highlights of the Gamut Policy Plus site include the ability to update policies from the CSBA update packet straight into your editor within the site, varied print capabilities, which I'm excited to look at today, and a fluid and collaborative policy editing workflow for however big or small your team is. Gamut Policy Plus works for you. Right, that's the intro. And the topics we're going to be covering today are first off what I call GPP basics. So the basic process of pulling those CSBA update packets from CSBA into your site. Just looking at that so we all have a grasp of what the at least the basic process is. And then going from there, we're looking at advanced formatting. So numbered lists, lettered lists, all kinds of the different tools that are within the editor. Advanced printing, which is just within the print feature, looking at how to print in different ways, in different styles, and for different scenarios. And the policy version history feature, which we did have a special webinar on some time ago, but I want to take a look at it again since it is still semi-new. So we'll take a quick look at the version history feature and the GPP permissions deep dive. So there are several different places within the Gamut site where you can edit permissions. And especially when your district or COE is bigger and you have a lot more people and a lot more eyes on the things that you're doing, permissions become incredibly important. So we can look at how to edit those for your exact needs. And then the Gamut Compare Documents feature, which is actually new, very exciting. This is set to roll out pretty soon. And we, as well, importantly, are going to have a whole special drop in about just this feature coming up on November 25th. So we'll talk about that. We'll have a whole slide about that. But those are the topics that we are going to be talking about today. So let's go ahead and go into GPP basics, which is just pulling the update packet into your work in progress so you can go ahead and work on that. So first off, I want to make the distinction between the process as a district and the process as a COE. It is very similar, but just slightly different. So for a district, you're going to hover the policies tab at the top of your site and then select CSBA communications, and then click into CSBA policy updates on the left and select the date of the packet that you're looking for. And we can even demonstrate that right now. So I'll go ahead and right in here. Good. All right. So if I hover policies right here, so right now we're in just a demo site. If I hover policies and click on CSBA communications, we can see on the left, we're clicked into CSBA policy updates, and this is the November 2025 policy update packet right there. We can click into that, and that has all the good stuff in here, all of the documents we need and the policies. And as well, we also have to mention the copy all documents button, which is the single button that allows you to pull it from this area into your editor. So that is the process for a district. Now for a COE, it's almost the same, just some things have some different language. So to pull the packet as a COE, you're going to hover policies, select CSBA communications, and then click into County Office of Education Policy Updates on the left. You can see in red there, and select the date of the packet that you're looking for from the list. And that's it. When you click in, it's going to look the same, and you're going to use that same copy all documents button to get in there. So that is the basic function of the GPP site. Now we can go from here into the more advanced stuff. Actually, just kidding. There's a little bit more here. Receiving when it comes to the update packets, you will receive an email when we release those. So those come out quarterly, and as long as you are signed up properly as a contact within our system, you'll receive an email when that comes out, so that you can go ahead and get to updating that as soon as possible. If you don't receive those update packet emails and you would like to, please just email us at gamut@csba.org, and we can get you tagged in the system so that you're able to receive those update packet release emails. And then finally, the last little process here that I want to touch on is batch approving policies in the work in progress page. So the idea is that you've pulled them into your work in progress, edited them individually, and now you're looking, and they've been approved by your board, and now you're looking to approve them all in a batch so you don't have to go into each policy individually and approve them. So again, we'll go back to the site and we'll just quickly look at that process. So if I hover policies again and then click on work in progress, we can see some draft policies here, and we can see little check boxes next to them. If I click on the little check boxes there, at the top, there's this one button right there that says batch update. I can click on that and then approve revise, and then put the date of the board meeting where these policies were approved. So let's say they were approved on November 6th, and we could click save and close, and that would move these all into your manual as the new approved versions of those policies all together with that same date. Now, so that process is that process. Separately from that, we would like to advise that you please do not batch rescind. So in order to batch rescind, you would go into the approved tab, then select these approved policies, then select this button here, click rescind, and then the date that you're rescinding it, and then save and close. Please do not ever do that. If you are rescinding policies, we recommend that you rescind them individually. Great. All right. So that is the batch updating process. And now we can talk about advanced formatting. All right, exciting stuff. So some of the tools we're going to look at are the maximize button, which is very simple but very necessary, the find and replace tool, and the highlight tool. So let's go ahead and get in and take a look. So go ahead and click into this policy here. An exhibit. So toward the top right, we have an edit pencil. I'm going to click on that edit pencil. And first off, the maximize button on the top row of tools all the way to the right. If I click on that maximize button, that's going to blow up the screen. So we have the whole screen to work with. So that's the maximize button. Next is the find and replace button. So that's this button right here. And what this allows you to do is type in a word that exists within this document, ideally probably several times within the document, and you can replace that reoccurring word with a different word or a different phrase. So for example, use cases for this involve the CSBA policies often say governing board within them, but a lot of districts call their governing board, they call them a board of trustees. So if you would like to change that word governing board throughout the policy, you don't have to do it individually. You can do it using the find and replace. So again, the find and replace button is going to be right here, right next to the maximize button. So when I click on that, we can, the example that I'm going to use here is the word signature, since you can see the word signature here and here. So we can see it a couple times. So I'm just going to change that to say sign instead. So I'm going to type signature, and we're going to change that to say sign, and I'm going to click replace all. 4 occurrences replaced right there. Click OK. And that's it. I can click close here, and we can see it says sign now, sign, sign instead of signature. So pretty simple tool, but again, that can save you some time when you're going through and doing a whole lot of policies. If you need to change, again, governing board to board of trustees. And as well, another common use case is if your superintendent for your district is also your principal, then their title would be superintendent slash principal as opposed to superintendent. And the CSBA policies are going to just list superintendent. So you can use find and replace to change all of the words that say superintendent to superintendent slash principal. So a couple use cases there, and that is the find and replace. All right, next little tool that I want to highlight here is the highlight tool. So we can see some of the policies that come from CSBA have highlights all throughout them. So the highlights to show blanks, so we can see there's a blank here and here and here. Um, of course, when you put this policy into your manual or this exhibit into your manual, you will want to clear those highlights. So the way to do that is we can just highlight everything. It actually doesn't matter. We can highlight everything. And we're going to click on this background color there and change that to white. And that's it. Now all the highlights gone. So that's just another little tool there that can help you get rid of those highlights that come from the CSBA policies. All right. So those are the tools. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, which we'll go back to the slide quickly, is background formatting. So this is one where if you've ever taken a training with us, we have definitely told you about it, but we're going to bring it back up. It's very important to us. So Control Shift V. This is when you paste into GAMUT, if you're pasting into your policy editor, please paste with Control Shift V instead of Control V, because Control V brings over background formatting and Control Shift V clears background formatting, so that you don't have any clashes with GAMUT's editor that can cause certain things like the text being small or the text being big or the spacing being off. So pasting with Control Shift V means that you can avoid certain issues like that. So um, as well, I want to look at just in case someone does have an issue where that happens, where you've pasted in with Control V and kind of now there's issues on the approved policy, and you're looking to clear that embedded background formatting. How can you do that? You first off, you can always reach out to us, and we can always help you with that. But if you're looking to do it yourself, then here's how you can do it. So let's go ahead and go back into the policy. Let's pretend this policy has some background formatting that we'd like to clear. We can first highlight everything, and then click Control X to cut it. So we're just cutting it out. So it's gone, but it lives on our mouse now. So we can put it back when we'd like. So we've Control X'd it. Now I'm going to click this source button right here. Again, right beneath maximize, I'm going to click that source button and it pulls up this coding, this background formatting, this background coding there. So I'm just going to delete all that. I'm going to highlight all of it and click backspace and it's all gone. Now I'm going to click source again and then paste in the way that we were mentioning with Control Shift V. So Control Shift V, and now we're all good. So now when we save this version of the text, it no longer has that background formatting in it, and it's all clean and good to go. So that's that whole process. Now, the last little thing to mention when it comes to clearing background formatting is sometimes it will take away some of the formatting that you can see as well. So the bolding, the numbered lists, the bulleted lists, the italicizing, some of those will go, some of the spacing will be different. Some of those things will change. So you will have to go in and put those things back using the editor. So as a kind of as a segue from there, let's take a look at the numbered lists, lettered lists, and bulleted lists, and look at how to build those in a way that is a little bit more advanced. So, good. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the numbered list button up here. So what I'm going to do is I want to make a list of these three paragraphs here. So we have paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and paragraph 3. So to do that, I can just highlight all of them and then click the numbered list button. And you can see that because there's spaces in between them, we have little numbers there that we don't want, right? So that's very easy to clear. All we have to do is backspace. And then now we want to make a space between number 1 and number 2 without creating another number. The way to do this is with Shift Enter. When I click Shift Enter, that creates a space between numbers here without creating a new number. It's incredibly useful for when you are editing numbered lists. So we're going to do that again for this number three here. I'm going to backspace it and then click Shift Enter. And here we go. So now we've, with just a couple clicks and a couple keystrokes, made a numbered list out of these three paragraphs there. Okay. Now let's take a look at sublists. So maybe you have a numbered list, but then you want a lettered list beneath it or attached to it, right? But like indented. So we'll take a look at how to do that. So I'm going to click Enter and then click Tab, and it creates a new list. Now, this is a number, but we want a letter. So what I'm going to do is right click on this and then click numbered list properties and open up this drop down, and we can select the upper alpha, these ABCs right there, and then click OK. And here we are. Now we have our lettered underneath our number. So I'm just going to type in info there, and then I'm going to click enter, and we have B. I'm going to type in more info. And then the way to go back from the lettered list back to the numbered list, you press enter twice. Now, I've noticed this can be a little bit finicky, so stick with me here. There we go. All right. So now we have went back to our numbered list. So I can just type in again, info, more, two, and then shift enter. And now we have a space between one, two, and three. And then we probably want a space between B and two as well. So I can click on that, click shift enter. And now we have a fully clean list. So we have our numbered list, lettered list, spaces in between everything. And that's what that looks like. Now, the right click that I used to change this numbered list into a lettered list, I can use that on the main list as well. If I click on the number one here, if I right click on it and then click again, numbered list properties, and then open the drop down, I can change this to any of these. Let's say Roman numerals. I can select that, click OK, and now our main list is Roman numerals, and our sublist is still those letters. So there you go. That's a bit of a deep dive into creating those numbered lists in the way that you'd like them. Great. So let's go ahead and click the minimize button. So we're going to click maximize again, which is just going to minimize. And let's say that you are trying to do some of this, but it's not quite working how you would like it to. You can click request review by association at the bottom of the edit screen here, and you can send a ticket to our support technicians, and they can help you out with that. So if I type in something like need help with numbered list, and then click submit in view, that is again going to send that ticket to our support technicians, to our policy technicians, and they will assist you in putting together that numbered list. So just in case some of this isn't working out, that's just one way to get in contact with us, and they can help you with formatting. Great. Okay, so let's go from formatting to, let's go ahead and go back to the slide here, from formatting to printing. Really exciting stuff. I think there's some really cool stuff we can do in here. So um, we're going to look at printing different document types. So if we look at this screenshot right here, we can see the bylaws selected, the policies, which are your board policies, regulations, which are your administrative regulations, and your exhibits. So you can select or deselect which of those you would like to print. And then filter status allows you to select between printing your adopted and or printing your drafts. And then there's all kinds of display features here where you can put the dates on there if you want, put watermarks on there if you want. And then finally, of course, the sections themselves at the bottom, you can select or deselect to include specific policies or drafts in the print. So that's the overview. Let's go ahead and jump back into the site and look over that a little bit. So I'm going to click on the policies tab at the top of our GAMUT site here. That pulls us in here, and we can click on the printer icon toward the top right and click print policies. And we're in here. So this is what that screenshot was. And we can select some things here, like let's say We can deselect bylaw or deselect regulation, exhibit. And if we only wanted to print our BPs, for example, we could deselect those and that's there. And then as well on filter status, if I open this up, we can deselect everything except adopted. So let's say we only want to print our adopted BPs. The settings for that are going to be having the BP toggled and then having only adopted checked. And that's it. These are all the selections are checked. So now when you open those up, you're going to see all the BPs within those sections, and then click print, and that will create that print for you. Now, the other, or I guess there's two other common uses where it might be if you just wanted to print your entire manual. If you wanted to print your whole manual, then again, I would recommend deselecting everything except adopted. So you would only have adopted selected and then just click print. As long as all of these are selected, you're all good. That's going to print your whole manual. And then finally, the other use case that I see pretty commonly is wanting to print all of your drafts to take to your board, for example. So to do that, we can open up this dropdown, select draft, deselect adopted, and now you're only going to print the drafts in your site. So you're all set. Now you can click print, and it's going to print out all of the drafts in your work in progress area, and you can take those right over to your board. Great. All right, let's go ahead and now we're in here and let's go from the printing to version history. So this is the version history feature. How does this feature work? Well, every time you click save on one of your draft policies, another line is added to this dropdown here. That line represents what the policy looked like when you pressed save at that moment in time. So every time a member of your organization presses save, there's going to be a new line there. And as you're working through the document, if you want to go back and work through any of those other previous versions, you're free to open up that dropdown and select one of those previous versions and work from there. Now, optimal use cases for this is going to be mostly as a fail-safe, because when you select another version to work on, you will have to work from that one, and then you can only adopt one version here. So when you adopt one of these versions that you select, the other ones will go away. So it's not really something where you're going to want to be using it to store multiple versions or something. It's really just if you make some kind of mistake, you can go back and go back to what the previous version was. So let's again, we'll demonstrate that too. So I'm going to go back into the site and go into hover policies and click on work in progress. And we're going to click into this exhibit that we were working on. And we can see the drop down here. So we have a couple different saved versions there. I'm going to click on the edit pencil and I'm going to delete everything. So I'm going to Control A, backspace, and save, and we'll save and close. All right, so everything's gone. Now, before version history, if you had done that, there was no way to go back. But now we have version history, so I can just open up this dropdown, go back to my 11.18 version, and here it is. So now everything's still there for you, and you can click on the edit pencil and continue working from this version, since this is the more correct one. And that's it. So that's the version history feature there. Great. Okay, let's go from here into GPP permissions. So all kinds of different things you can do within the permissions area, and we'll look through those. The three different places where you're going to be looking at permissions are going to be within an individual account. So we can see the screenshot here is showing one person's individual account that you can go into and edit their permissions based on what they need to see and what they need to do within the site. And then sorry about that, the stacked, what I call the stacked permissions section, which is in the policy type administration area, where you can see everyone's permissions all stacked on top of each other, which can be pretty efficient if you're looking to see who all has the ability to do different things, or if you're looking to change who has the ability to do certain things on a mass level as opposed to one by one. And then finally, the permissions within the work in progress area, which allow you to edit permissions relating to individual drafts. So who can read those individual drafts and who can edit those individual drafts. Okay, let's go again back in the site and do some poking around. So I'm going to hover more here and click on user administration. And we're going to, let's type my name in here, go into my account and look through some of these permissions. So a lot of tabs here since there's a lot of modules in our demo site, but I'm going to click on policies there and turn this off. And we can see the individual permissions. So the kind of the groups here that matter are going to be, first of all, access this type. This gives people the ability to even open the manual to access it, right? The next little group here, document type visibility, this exists in case you ever hide certain things within your site or make them private in certain ways. Users with these permissions will still be able to view those policies or those exhibits with the document type visibility. View drafts is, of course, the ability to view all of your draft policies. And then administer this type is the ability to edit your policies. So that is connected to edit documents, which is really the ultimate policy that allows people to edit your documents or edit your draft policies, as well as your adopted policies. And then finally, these two don't have to do with editing or at all. These are just the ability to view the communications uh, area, which is where the update packets are, and then the ability to view the sample manual. So that's what these look like, and you can always go in and turn these off or turn these on, and that's where you can do that. So that's the individual account. And then the policy type administration permissions, if I hover policies here and click on policy type administration, that pulls us in here and we can click on the permissions icon for your board policy manual. And here we can see a lot of users with a lot of different permissions all stacked on top of each other. So if I was wondering, for example, who has the ability to view my drafts, I can go down this list and see every person, or who has the ability to edit the documents in my manual. I can go through and see all of those people there. And then you can edit them too. So if I wanted to give Mia the ability to edit documents, I would just click on that there. And that would do that. I could click save and close at the bottom, and then those people would have those permissions. Finally, you'll notice here that there are users with grayed out lines, so I'm not able to click on any of their permissions to change them. That's because these users are marked as admin users within their individual accounts. So you can't edit their permissions here, but you can, as an admin, go in and edit their permissions on an individual level within their accounts. Okay, and then finally, if I hover policies and click on work in progress, this is the section here, read only permissions and edit permissions, where you can edit the permissions as they relate to individual drafts in your work in progress area. So if I clicked on read only permissions for this exhibit that we've been working on, and then I toggle on, let's say I would like Kristen to be able to read this exhibit, but only this one. I could click her name there and then save and close, and that would give her the ability to view and read this draft. And then similarly, if I click on the name here for edit permissions, for edit permissions, and let's say I would like Sam to be able to edit this exhibit. So Sam can't currently edit any drafts or exhibits within this area, but if I wanted him to be able to edit just this one, I could click on his name there and then save and close, and that would give him the ability to edit just this draft there. So those are all the different ways that you can edit permissions within your GAMUT site. All right, so from there, we can take a look at our brand new compare documents feature. So before we get into this, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions. I would like to mention that we are going to have an entire mini webinar devoted to just this feature coming up. So that's going to be on November 25th on that Tuesday at 2 p.m. And you can register for that. There should be a link in the chat here that you can click into and register for that. And that's going to deep dive into how this feature works. And you can, it will cover all the questions there related to this new feature, which again, this has not rolled out yet. This will roll out very soon. So That's that. But the overview of the feature is that you are able to visually compare policies against each other within your Gamut site. So you can compare adopted versions to draft versions. You can compare adopted versions to the new CSBA version. And you can see slightly in the screenshot here that it marks different changes with purple and blue. So we can see there's some purple marks and some blue marks. And we can see at the top of the screenshot the document 1 and document 2. So you can select the documents to compare. And that makes those changes there for you to visually see. So that is the new feature, and we are excited about it. So that is there. All right. Now we are to the Q&A portion. So if you have any questions, let me go ahead and open up what we can see. We have a chat here. So yep, that link is there. Perfect. Okay, so there's a Q&A as well. Let's open up the Q&A and just, I guess, go through these one by one. So uh, perfect. All right. Does rescinding a policy roll it back to its previous version, if available, or does it rescind the entire policy altogether? Roll back to its previous version, if available. So I think I would just like to point out here the distinction between updating a policy and rescinding a policy. So when you update a policy, you are keeping the code in there, but you're replacing the language, right? You're updating it to have new language, that code. When you rescind a code, you're taking the code out of your manual so that that code is no longer there. And that as well is still in the back of your Gamut site. So it's still there, but it is not in your manual anymore. So that is kind of the distinction between updating a policy, right? The code is still there, and rescinding a policy where the code is no longer there. But again, it's still stored in your Gamut site for historical purposes. So perfect. That's pretty much that. When utilizing request review by association, does that only apply to formatting technical issues, or are people able to request assistance with policy content? Well, you are able to. So the feature is primarily for formatting related questions, but you are able to request assistance with policy content as well. Also, the more direct way to get in contact with our policy team is with policy@csba.org. That's the email for their inbox. If you have policy related questions, they're happy to assist you with that there. Can you tell us what TX is for in editing? I was told to use that in the past by coworker to clear formatting when we paste info. Yeah, that does allow you to clear formatting. I personally don't use it. I like the manual, the idea that I can see myself clearing the code by deleting it myself. So I like to use the source button. But TX is meant for clearing background. And those are the questions I can see there. Okay, and now I can go into the chat. And we can, okay, when you batch approve, will it accept the edits too? Yes, it will. That is the entire purpose of batch approving. Will a
Oh,
recording be sent? Yes, they will.
I
Go
wanted to
ahead.
jump in to just clarify something. If you have track changes on your document, adopting that policy will not resolve those track changes. So if you have your edits on there and you adopt it, they will show to the public. So you do need to resolve your track changes before batch adopting your policies.
Yes, that is exactly right. Okay, will the compare session be recorded and sent out? Yes, it will. It will be recorded and sent out if you're interested. Okay, and that was answered by Aaron. Fantastic. All right, this was a great webinar. Thank you. Thank you. And I have this recorded. So I have some like private ones here. Okay, that be recorded and slide sent. Yes. And when you batch approve, will it accept the edits too? Yes, perfect. Okay, looks like everything has been answered. If there's any further questions, you can still feel free to put those in the chat. But it looks like I've answered the ones that I had here. All right. So that's that. And then let's go back to this slide. If you have any further questions or are interested in a training, you can always reach out to our Gamut support team by emailing us at gamut@csba.org or calling us at the phone number listed there, 916-669-4686. And we're here on normal business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And always here to help. So that is you can always reach out to the GAMUT team for further support. And thank you. These slides and the recording can be sent out, and I would just like to thank you all for your time and attention today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.